Napa Wildlife Rescue is an organization that does just what its title is. We rescue wild animals, we rehabilitate them, and we release them back into the wild whenever possible. So what we're going to look at today are these two baby great horned owls. We get baby owls in every year in the spring. Usually they've fallen out of nests, and that's what's happened with these two owls. The first owl wasn't eating real well. It was in an incubator, and then when the second owl came and joined it, it really started thriving better. So they really like the companionship of other owls. And the thing that's so important for us to remember when we're taking care of great horned owls is that they're easily imprinted. So imprinted animals usually end up in a lot of trouble if they're released. So when we raise the great horned owls, we go to great lengths to try and keep our distance from them. We only interact with them if we have to clean the cage or feed them. And when we feed them, we wear this very funny owl costume. I don't know if we're really tricking them or not, but that's what we do. So they're kind of at this little intermediate stage now. They're just starting to walk around. They can't fly yet. They don't have their flight feathers in. They will go up eventually to a great big aviary that's at the property we call the Shafer Sanctuary, because the Shafer family donated it to us. And that's where they will spend most of their life when they're ready to do that. So we'll just have to see how it goes. The two baby great horned owls are growing up. They're putting on weight really well. The little one, the male, is the first one that came in, and we're kind of concerned that he's not ferocious enough. The larger one, the second one that came in, is a little more ferocious. So that's our big challenge with them over the next short while, is to get them more afraid of people, more wild. And the reason we want them afraid of people, if you think about it, you know, you're having a picnic and a great horned owl is watching you and decides they want your food, they're going to swoop down and ask you for it. And I don't think anybody would like that very much. And it wouldn't be healthy for them either. When they get up to the Shafer Sanctuary, they'll have that big flight aviary. They'll hear wild sounds all night long. They'll only hear voices once a day if two people happen to come to feed. If one person comes, they won't even hear voices then. So it's a really good place for them to get wild before they're released. They're at a stage that we call branchers. So if they were out in the wild, they'd be up high in a tree, they'd have stepped out of the nest, they'd be on branches close to the nest, or they'd be climbing around to the tree and taking little short flights between the branches. They're progressing along, they're developing just as they should be at this age. We're at a piece of property that the Shafer family donated to Napa Wildlife Rescue, and we call it the Shafer Sanctuary. And it's alongside the Napa River. It's a wonderful piece of property. We get lots of wildlife here. I've seen pileated woodpeckers, kingfishers, lots of different songbirds, and we have a nesting Cooper's hawk here for the first time, so that was pretty exciting. The structure I'm standing in front of is our big flight aviary. And this is where we bring raptors to give them a lot of room to move around. And it's 50 feet long, 12 feet tall, and 12 feet wide. Today, we moved in two red-tailed hawks into the other side of the flight aviary. And they are not siblings, but they're very similar in age. So they've really bonded. They're going to be releasable before the great horned owls. They grow up a little quicker. So on the other side, we just brought in the two great horned owls. And it's really great to bring them out here because they'll see people less often and they'll become more wild. And while they're here, we'll give them live prey, live mice, see how they do on catching it. And we just kind of monitor them. We only visit one time a day to bring them food, clean water, and make sure everything's okay. So their contact with people is pretty minimal here. They're changing quite a bit, but great horned owls, takes a long time for them to grow up. The owls are doing well. They're right on track where they should be. Wild owls, they're born early spring, usually March, April, and they stay with their parents 6 to 8 months. So this is, this is around the time where they would be getting ready to leave the parents. And they were acting very independent. They were catching live prey. They were fully feathered. All their feathers, they had the adult feathers on them. So we decided it was time to go. Releases are pretty wonderful. I mean, it's the whole goal of the organization to rescue these animals and rehabilitate them, raise them in this case from little babies, and then release them into the wild. When I first started doing this, I was so excited when I would do a release, and now I just worry, because you think of everything that can go wrong, and did you do a good job, and are they going to be able to survive? And you just have to just hope they do, And what I think about is if most of them survive and they have babies, then we're getting more and more generations of wildlife. The little one, the second one that came out, I wasn't surprised because he was the one we were most worried about, but he got his nerve up and he flew away. And I think I think they're going to do well. So they're off. They're up in those trees someplace, and they're probably like wondering, wow, what did we get into? So I hope all that natural instinct kicks in, and they have long, wonderful lives.